Have you thought about doing a slime blower?
I have thought about that. I did think about that a while back, and I think for the actual the nozzle, the handheld piece, I don't think creating something like that would be a problem. But it's like, how would I make those big tank pieces in the back and still keep them relatively lightweight? Because I think people are actually still 3D printing
Yeah.
the tanks in pieces, which
Mm-hmm.
is crazy. I'm sure that's some crazy print hours, but I think they're really neat. When I remember going to see Ghostbusters 2 in the movie theater, I think it was 1989,
Yep.
and um, I thought they were one of the coolest things that they were sliming everything, and the guy, the museum curator, like, hose him, and he's
Yeah.
like, why am I dripping with goo? It was,
Yeah.
it was, it was so funny.
I feel like, and everybody can insert their jokes. I feel like we've all had moments where we're like, man, I wish somebody could just like hit me with that. To just like have to wake up from like the greatest sleep ever in just like the happiest mood ever. Like,
Yeah,
I wish.
yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I know when they were doing some behind the scenes stuff. I cannot remember the YouTube channel, but it was a group of like influencers or media when they were doing behind the scenes for Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
They had the slime blowers, but it got like just a really, really, really small mention, in the movie itself, and it was like in the background.
Yeah.
Um, but
Disappointing.
yeah, I would have loved to seen that thing, someone coming out getting blasted with the mood slime.
Yeah. That I was listening to Extraplasm. It's a Ghostbusters podcast. A lot of the hardcores know it. He's good friends with Ghostbusters News. Um, and he had on the guy who does Phantasm Toys,
Hmm.
which does a lot of the collectibles and stuff. And
Sure.
they were starting to talk kind of ill of Frozen Empire, and I was actually excited to hear that because I was like, okay, we're reaching the point now where I feel like people are giving it that like second and third watch. And also because we're not in a Ghostbusters high point, they're
Right.
being more honest with themselves as to like,
Yes.
but did I actually like that movie?
Yeah.
And I I hated it out of the gate. I took heat for it. But I just feel like they going into it, they had all the momentum, bringing out the
Yeah.
slime blower, bringing
Yep.
back the old cast. Like they had
Yep.
all the momentum, and then it just like I
Yeah.
feel like it was such a waste of a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. Now, so I saw it in the theater. I was, their opening day, and
Hmm.
um, it's like I had that excitement to see it, like when Afterlife came out, and
Yeah.
I saw Afterlife like three times in the theater.
Hmm.
um, and it I think it had so much potential. It like, and let me back up and say, like my for my day job, I'm a video production person. I do video editing and storytelling and things like that. And I found myself watching it, and not that I'm to the level of these Hollywood editors or things like that, but I'm watching it going, man, if they could have just changed just a few things, it
Hmm.
maybe would have helped out the overall pacing of the movie, because the pacing is
Mm.
one thing, and the storytelling element, and just changing a few things, because I definitely think um it could have grown on me a little more. Did I
Yeah.
hate the movie? I wouldn't say I hated it,
No. No.
but I wish it just had a little bit more of that, what that original the original franchise really had. And I know that Ernie Hudson has recently come out and talked about that, how he would still like to see those legacy characters,
Yeah.
you know, kind of get back to the roots a little bit. And I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of things involved with Sony, with Ghost Core and all of that, wanting to bring in that new audience. But did that really bring in the new audience with Frozen Empire?
Yep. That was my number one critique on it. Like and here's the thing. Well, first, even before that, I will tell you, do not sell yourself short on the video editing. Literally, just them having a paycheck is what makes them Hollywood. Like, doesn't mean they're the best. So don't
Uh,
ever sell
I
yourself short on that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. My number one complaint about the movie was I don't think it did anything to bring in new people. And I'm not saying that that's an easy task. Like, you know, I've learned through us doing this YouTube and all of us communicating and reviewing movies and stuff. I've learned that it's a lose-lose every time because
Yeah.
you're not going to ever make everybody happy. Like, it's just
Right.
not. It's not a thing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you can have a large enough fan base where the people who love it outweigh the people who hate it, and then the people who hate it are not, their voices aren't really heard. That's possible, but Ghostbusters isn't that fan base. Like, it's not that big.
Right.
So when the movie was done, I was like, this did nothing for. I felt like it was just a waste. Like, it didn't. They want to get more kids into it, but it wasn't enough of a kids type story. Like
Yeah.
they wanted to get the veteran, the people who saw it when they were kids to enjoy it, but then they changed the way that the characters acted,
Right.
the dynamics. So it didn't.
Right.
If you went from Ghostbusters 2 to this one, it was like night and day. You're like, wait, I know it's the same actor, but it's not the same character. Like, it's
Right.
different.
No, absolutely. No,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
And it's like, and I think they had some. I think it was interesting to explore some of the areas they went in, like with the paranormal research facility
yeah,
that Winston's character. I
yeah.
think if they had done that in a certain way, I
Mm-hmm.
think could have been really cool. But everything just like came together. Like, oh yeah, this happened. We happen to have this right here, and it
Yeah,
was just. It was, I know it's a movie. I know it's like suspending disbelief, but there's certain things from the first two films that we saw, that you kind of know the universe they're in, and it's like, I don't know, it just I think with some of their pacing and some of just when you get down to like certain cuts and the way they jump from scene to scene, there was no segue, and it was like, oh, we're watching this, okay, now we're over here, so it was a little, just felt a little disjointed. I really,
yeah,
really wanted to love the movie,
yeah.
and I get that they were kind of going with a more real Ghostbusters vibe for it. From what Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan had said when they were writing, um, and the production value was definitely there. I mean, it
Yeah,
looked great,
yeah.
but and I know they were trying to get away from like Gozer and Vigo and bring in a new baddie, but something I had always hoped was, if they were going with the real Ghostbusters route, if they would have brought in like a Sam Hain, like a really creepy Sam Hain character. How cool would that have been to
Mm-hmm.
explore that,
Yeah.
and release it more around Halloween sometime. I think that would have been awesome.
The joke I had was stolen from Age of Ultron. One of the critiques of Age of Ultron was there was no age because he took over and literally the final battle was like 2 days later.
Right.
This one is Frozen Empire, and the city barely froze over in the final 10 minutes of the movie. So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
the parkas, the red parkas were not used really at all. Like,
Right.
you pumped out all these ads and you had the influencers there. First, I'm really mad about that, by the way, because like a lot of those influencers that went outside of Yes Have Some weren't even like Ghostbuster influencers. Like, they were just
No.
these random ass people. And I
Right.
was like, there's nothing on your YouTube channel or your TikTok or Instagram that's even close to Ghostbusters. But again, Monday morning quarterback thing. Maybe beforehand it would have been like, maybe we should get non-Ghostbuster people. Like, I don't know.
Right.
But and then I'll get to Anthony's comment there. One of the things that was said on the ectoplasm that I kind of thought about, but I wasn't too sure. Or I wasn't too sure if other people felt the same way. The Spanglers at this point are treated kind of like Skywalkers. Like, they're treated as the main focal point of the franchise,
Right.
and it's probably time that stops because that's not how it started.
Right.
So it's, and even Ernie's like, yeah, I'm down to do stories where I'm like the Nick Fury character and we're international and all this stuff. I I agree, and it sucks because I'm. It's not a knock on any of the actors that did the last two movies,
No,
but they're not Skywalkers. Like that's not what this franchise was ever really about. So
right.
maybe it is time to move on. And you know that Anthony there was saying with his issues with the movie was that it's afterlife again. The family helping Phoebe catch the big bad, literally holding the wand. Same finishing move. You know, so
Yep.
it might be time to move on.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, and for Afterlife, I think what they did was, you know, a really, really nice homage, a nod to Harold Ramis and his character, being that he had passed away.
Yeah.
And you know, that ending sequence in Afterlife, I think is probably one of my favorite 15 minutes of Ghostbusters probably out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it served its purpose, you know,
Yeah.
and like you're saying, let's kind of let's move on from that, or at least touch on that, and then build your next iteration. Because
Yeah.
nobody really, you know, nobody really, you know, and I guess I'm just speaking for myself here. It's only my opinion, but you know, do people really care about the family dynamic of the Spangler family? People want to see people, you know, ghosts getting busted
Yeah.
and things like that. So um you know, so we'll see where it goes. But I know that I was gonna say one thing that kind of was a big indicator to me about Frozen Empire. So before the movie came out, I had put out a part on the Etsy store that was the Power Cell cover, the black and yellow stripes that pops onto the side.
Mm-hmm.
I listed those on Etsy, and literally within a couple hours, I was starting to get sales on it, and those quickly became the most popular item on the store. I was selling those faster than I could print them,
Mm-hmm.
and then the movie comes out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if that's not a representative sample of what Ghostbusters fans as a whole took the movie as, I mean, what is? And they still sell here and there,
Yeah.
but not they sold much better before the movie came out, because I think
Yeah.
people saw that, and that goes back to the same thing with it being frozen for 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Those new proton packs with a new design, with the new bumper and
Yeah.
the heat shield and everything, those were just a small portion of the film. um, and that's why when I saw that happened, because I had plans to put out the we call it the thong bumper,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the heat shield on the wand tip, and also on the heat sink, the yellow piece on the side. I had plans to do all of those, and then I saw how much it had tapered off, and I was like, oh, I think I'm just going to focus on my, you know, my core pieces that continually do decent. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of those like this picture here, like whoever this girl was the one that she
one of the influencers, yeah,
yeah, she leaked out all of these images, these high res
yep,
images that everybody freaked out on. Um, this is it's another, you know, to your point, it's another damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you know when you think back to the first movie and the second movie, you got lots of new gear and the introduction of gear with zero explanation. Like there was no this is from this is because of that, nothing of the sort. Um,
right,
but you still had new gear, and in this one there was really no new gear. They
right,
alluded to modifying of stuff, but I think you know if they because they are going to do the cartoon, they've said they're doing that for Netflix. You
yes,
know, I think this is one of those read the room type of things where like the fan base, oh excuse me, the fan base. One of the things they're all about is cosplay. Like these fans are crazy about it. Like introduce new gear in the movies and give it a purpose, talk about it,
right,
show it.
right,
Show it for
right,
more than 5 minutes.
right,
Like do a movie that is based around the paranormal center. Like why not? And then if you want kids involved because you're still trying to ride the Stranger Things train,
Right,
by all
right, right.
means, by all means. But I think that Hollywood right now needs to break away from that. Like it's you can't just keep doing Goonies and Stranger Things. Like
Right,
other
right.
things used to work too. Try them out
Yeah.
again.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
kind of going back to, if they wanted to have that kid element in it, there's so many different storylines if they want to go for like a more real Ghostbusters route. I mean, remember the Boogeyman episodes where
Yeah.
he's breaking
He's haunting the
into, he's coming
kids.
out of kids' closets. I mean,
Yeah.
there's your kids right there, and then that could introduce some more gear, because I remember in those episodes they used the grenade,
Yep.
um, which I know that the Scoleri brothers on Etsy, they produce those, and they do a lot of beautiful props. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you get some kind of different some different gear.
Yeah. Yeah. You actually reminded me of something. And shout out to John Kenobi. Good to see you. Um, I don't think you are, but I figure I'm gonna ask it anyway. I don't believe you're a toy collector, but did you see these figures and are these on your potential radar purchase?
I did see those,
Should
and
Melissa leave the comments right? Should Melissa turn off right now and go check on something else?
no, you know what, she'd probably be down with this, because her favorite character for Real Ghostbusters was Egon.
Mm-hmm.
She's told me, like, I always loved his character
Yeah.
in the cartoon. And they really have done a beautiful job with getting some really, really good detailed Real Ghostbusters character, because I've got the action figures that are still in plastic,
Mm-hmm.
up in the closet, but these are the next level up. And I mean, look at that proton pack. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And the PKE meter. You know, I have been eyeing them. Whether I would get the whole set, I don't know. But I have seen them, and I did take notice to them.
Yeah. It actually going back to ectoplasm. Um, he mentioned a thought I it did not cross my mind. If this was the first wave, if it was the Egon with Sandman, um, we may
Oh,
not have been
Sandman.
sorry, not wait, Boogeyman, sorry. Um, we may not have been as hard on the price point because this one is like crazy detail with especially with
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
alternate head sculpt.
Oh yeah.
So maybe at this one we would have been like, I'll maybe I'll go for it or whatever. But sorry, sidebar. Ultra Ultra Carter, like, yes, you want Nilda on Kenobi stream. We're all same page. Let's keep it chill, please. Um, so if this was the initial, if this was the first one out of the gate, maybe would have been as harsh. This is the only set I'm considering. Like
Yeah.
I really don't want to do it, but again, it's tempting because of the sculpts.
Yeah.
And I agree with Melissa. Like Egon, as far as RGB, is my favorite character. It's the one that as a kid I was like, oh, what is that? Because I don't know if I told you this before. I wasn't allowed to watch Ghostbusters as a kid.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. Because super Christian household.
Yep.
Ghosts, nope, can't do it.
Okay.
But the Egon RGB figure, the Fright Feature figure, that was the one where I first saw it and I was like, whoa, what is that? Like, what is that toy you guys are playing with? I've never seen that before. So he holds a special place. So that's where this one I'm like, really, really fighting the demons on this. Pun
It's
intended.
it's it's super cool. Like,
Yeah.
it really is a quality looking piece.
Yeah.
And I'm not much of a of a toy collector, but again, it's more from a standpoint of where do I put everything, because I've got a bunch of things, action figures still in the plastic that are up in my closet,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have a place to display them. But yeah, they really outdid themselves with the work on these. I mean, look at I mean the detail of the trap and everything is just so cool looking.
Yeah. No, and they upped the Photoshop,
Awesome.
not Photoshop, but the photo work on this one too.
Oh yeah,
Like it's just,
that was really cool.
it's tough. This is a tough one. Even now, as I
Oh
look
man,
at it,
they really did a nice job on those.
yeah. Especially because the gin's flow, and the reason it came to mind was when you mentioned the grenade, because
Yep,
I knew that
there
the
he's
grenade was
throwing it.
coming with it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's funny too because like I remember you mentioning some of the gear they had in Ghostbusters 2 with the slime blowers, but do you remember there was during a montage sequence of Ghostbusters 2 for us for just a quick few clips, there was a scene in a like a jewelry store
Hmm.
or I don't know, had a bunch of like expensive glass things and everything was all levitating. Do you remember that scene? And they had these things out that were some kind of device that they had and it had the black and yellow stripes on it and it deployed all these lasers and something went wrong. Maybe it caught the ghost because all the glass just falls and it breaks all over the floor. But there it was a quick montage scene, but I never figured out what those things were.
Mm. Yeah, I don't remember the scene
It was like it was under a musical montage. It was between
when they're back.
it was they had just come out of the courtroom. They're in their suits and they're like, "We're back. We're the
Yeah.
one, the only. We're the
Oh, that's here.
Ghostbusters." Then it went into the music, and it was this that part.
Somebody wrote what the actual flip is this scene.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm guessing it was some sort of trap, but the irony of the situation was, this ghosts or spirit had all these expensive pieces of glass or jewelry floating, and it goes off, and they all fall and they break everywhere. Which
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's coming back to me now, like as I'm looking at it.